This message comes from NPR sponsor Discover. Tired of not getting a hold of anyone when you have questions about your credit card? With 24/7 live customer service from Discover, everyone has the option to talk to a real person. Limitations apply. See terms at discover.com/creditcard.
Hello, hello. I'm Brittany Luce, and you're listening to It's Been a Minute from NPR, a show about what's going on in culture and why it doesn't happen by accident. This week, we're connecting the dots between fake eyelashes, bleach blonde hair, and a lot of people yelling to strike those things from the record. I know. How are all these things connected? Well, we're going to find out with Alana Wise. She covers race and identity for NPR, and writer Carrie Manders, who has written a lot about queer culture and butch identity. Alana, Carrie, welcome to It's Been a Minute.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for having me too, Brittany.
It's great to have you both here. So the three of us are getting into what I'm calling the real housewife-ification of Congress. And when I say that, do you both know what I mean?
Oh yeah, it's like the back and forth, the petty fights. It's like you turn on C-SPAN and it's like, wow, when did I get premium cable?
Carrie, I see you nodding along.
Yes, absolutely. And the delight I'm seeing on social media, it's like people are loving these queens going after each other, insulting each other's looks and intelligence.
Let me just give the listeners some background. So there have been many shining examples of the real housewife-ification of Congress over the past year. There was George Santos. Need I say more? Bernie Sanders intervening in a near fist fight between a Republican senator and a witness at a congressional hearing last fall. And then last week, there were the words exchanged between Republican Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene and Democratic Representative Jasmine Crockett. In an exchange with Crockett, during a routine House committee hearing, Greene interrupted Crockett and said,
I think your fake eyelashes are messing up.
No, ain't nothing.
Hold on.
I think your fake eyelashes are messing up what you're reading, implying that Crockett, who is black, couldn't understand what was going on because of her physical appearance. The hearing erupted.
That is absolutely unacceptable. How dare you attack the physical appearance of another person? Are your feelings hurt? Her words.
And led to an exchange about what words were appropriate for the hearing, in which Crockett posed this question.
If someone on this committee then starts talking about somebody's bleach blonde, bad-built butch body, that would not be engaging in personalities, correct?
Please note, Marjorie Taylor Greene is blonde and boasts a lot about her CrossFit routine. Carrie, Alana, it was funny, but also depressing at the same time, and a lot has been made of what this says about the state of Congress. But I want to focus on the words themselves and why these are attacks that resonate. To start, Alana, when you heard Greene say fake eyelashes, what did you hear?
So pretty immediately it came across as, oh, I'm not just attacking you for doing your makeup. I'm attacking you for the very specific and very black coded way that you're doing your makeup. And it felt almost like a directly racist attack. And to make the connection that, oh, because you're wearing fake eyelashes, you don't understand. And if you don't understand, that means inherently you do not belong here in this place where we're making these massive decisions.
You described Jasmine Crockett's makeup like being done in a very black-coded way. There are going to be listeners that don't know what that means.
Yeah. So especially over the past several years, we've seen a lot of Black women embracing fake eyelashes in a way that aren't necessarily meant to appear natural, but they're supposed to be over the top and glamorous. This is a makeup trend that has been really popular with Black women in the same way that you might see high blush being very popular among Southern white women. And it's not lost on me that the direct call out of her lashes seemed like a very almost quote unquote safe way to dog whistle that your blackness is out of place here.
Now, okay, on the flip side, thinking about what Jasmine Crockett said to Marjorie Taylor Greene, bleach blonde, bad-built butch body. Carrie, what do you hear in Jasmine Crockett's words?
I thought that Crockett's response used the same kind of rhetorical move to me. The implication being MTG, she's a mannish lesbian, because that's what butch means. And I think the counterattack was to say, you're not the right kind of woman either, and let me make fun of your mannish body.
Also, I just want to note the phrasing that Jasmine Crockett used, because we have yet to touch on the phrasing itself. I mean, This is alliteration.
Yes.
6 words in a row.
I think people are delighting in that alliteration.
It would be one thing if she, reinvented what's the Mary Poppins thing.
Oh, supercalifragilistic.
But she gave you 6 very short 1-syllable, 2-syllable B words. It's easy to track.
That's a very good point. In some ways, perhaps a copywriter's dream. And to that point, I mean, in response to all this, Carrie, you've noted how immediately following the exchange, lots of people, but gay men in particular, memed Crockett's comments into a social media frenzy. I can't help but think, in part, they're championing the comments because Marjorie Taylor Greene has a proven track record of being extremely anti-LGBTQ. So even though the word butch, has a homophobic or transphobic history, it's being heralded by part of that same community. Why do you think this is being championed without much criticism?
When I first became aware of this story, I didn't know about the inciting incident yet because I saw hashtag B6.
You saw the social media response first.
Yes. And I honestly thought that B6 was a sassy soundbite from a queer celebrity because gay men, especially young gay men, the gaybies, were taking it on and wanting to wear it, right? Asking for t-shirts and saying that it was their slogan of the summer. And I thought, what celebrity interview are they taking this from? Who has owned their bad butch? I've been calling myself ever since in my own household. I'm like, I'm a bad butch. Right? And appropriated it. And I want to be very careful here because Jasmine Crockett does not have a history of homophobia. And I think there is a understandable celebration of Crockett not just letting it go, not just taking it. At the same time, words mean beyond their intentions, right? And I still can't get around to use butch body is in its rhetorical effect homophobic. And a lot of the aftermath has been really disheartening to see my identity, I'm a proud butch, turned insult.
I mean, that just goes to show how tricky and layered some of this language is and why it's inspired such a cornucopia of responses. Back to Marjorie Taylor Greene, though, for a second. Alana, her comments were immediately denounced as racist, but ultimately there's not been much consequence for her and what she said to Jasmine Crockett. How in some ways is this kind of rhetoric toward a Black woman business as usual in Congress or in the workplace in general?
I think that the fact that she felt so comfortable to insult the appearance of a Black woman while knowing she is in one of the most hallowed chambers on the planet, it really speaks to the fact that, as you said, it is business as usual. People are still fighting to be able to wear their natural hair at work and in the classroom. You then have the racist misogyny or misogynoir of having your appearance being questioned, particularly as it pertains to beauty standards that aren't natural to what you would normally adhere to. And the effort to try to adhere in some ways to those standards, be it straightening your hair and that not being seen as good enough, be it the style of clothing that you wear. There are all these layers to the ways that Black women are facing rampant discrimination in the workplace that just makes the attack in Congress sadly commonplace.
Pulling out a little bit, whether it's racism or homophobia or transphobia, I think we often see those ways of punching down as a way of bolstering oneself. You see it in Congress, and you also see it on the literal housewives of insert name of city here. Just last week, we saw a viral advertisement that came from a Republican woman running for Secretary of State in Missouri. And in it, she was running with a bulletproof vest on. And she said, Alana, I see you rolling your eyes already. But she said,
in America, you can be anything you want. Don't be weak and gay.
Don't be weak and gay. Stay, expletive, hard. And showed a photo of her holding an automatic rifle. The ad itself is preposterous. I mean, it seems like something that would come out of a dark comedy because it's just so ridiculous. But it's punching down on people to anger some people and to make others laugh. It's a cheap and cruel way to build yourself up. And that kind of insulting and dissing seems like such a huge part of politics and culture right now. We are obsessively consuming it and memeing it. Why do you both think disses are what's getting us all talking right now?
It's always sort of a guilty pleasure to see somebody get cut down in a very incisive and surgical way. It's part of why, for example, the rap battle between Drake and Kendrick Lamar has been so interesting, despite the fact that a number of the allegations have been absolutely horrifying.
Yeah.
Like, you can call someone a person who abuses children, but at the end of the day, we're all singing BBL Drizzy, like, nonstop. So that's thing number one. Thing number two is that it also feels good when it seems as though someone is getting their comeuppance. And for Marjorie Taylor Greene, it seemed like, okay, you tried to hurt Jasmine Crockett's feelings. Now I am going to cut you down. I am going to absolutely bring you down to size in a way that I think really resonated with people.
Brittany, you've mentioned the term, or you've said like the punching down a number of times. And I think that you're absolutely right about that. And this kind of belittling in order to score, I was going to say pop cultural points, or to score likes. And I'm going to go back to this point. I'm really interested on my social media feeds that 99% of the skits and memes and parody songs I'm seeing are from men. What I worry about overall is that this is a win for misogyny. We don't have to talk about these women and their politics and their ideas. We can talk about them instead insulting each other's looks. And then that gives them permission to also insult looks because they did it first.
Well, I mean, it's difficult to think about that without also considering the gender makeup of Congress and how underrepresented women are there. So you just may have something there, Carrie.
Yeah.
But Alana, Carrie, I have learned so much here. Thank you both so much.
Thank you both.
Thank you.
Appreciate the conversation.
And as a thank you to both of you, I'd like to teach you something by playing a little game with you all. Can you stick around for a tiny bit longer?
Absolutely. Yep.
Absolutely.
We'll be right back with a little game I like to call, But Did You Know? Stick around.
Support for this podcast and the following message come from Dignity Memorial. In life, you plan for many important things, like weddings, retirement, and your children's education. A celebration of life is really no different. Planning and paying for your celebration of life in advance protects your loved ones and gives you the peace of mind you deserve. It's truly one of the best gifts you can give your family. Dignity Memorial will help you take care of every detail with professionalism and compassion. For additional information, visit dignitymemorial.com.
This message comes from NPR sponsor Discover. Here's a familiar situation. You have a question about your credit card. You call the number for help and can't get a hold of anyone. If only you had a Discover card. With 24/7 U.S.-based live customer service from Discover, everyone has the option to talk to a real person anytime, day or night. Yep, you heard that right, a real person. Get the customer service you deserve with Discover. Limitations apply. See terms at discover.com/creditcard.
This message comes from NPR sponsor BetterHelp. When you keep your stress bottled up, it can eat away at you. Therapy is a safe space to get things off your chest and to figure out how to make them better. Try BetterHelp Online Therapy, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Get it off your chest with BetterHelp at betterhelp.com/NPR today to get 10% off your first month.
All right. We're going to play a little game I like to call, But Did You Know? Here's how it works. I'm going to share a story that's been making headlines this week, and as I give you some background on the story, I'll also ask you trivia related to it. But don't worry, it's all multiple choice, and the first one to blurt out the right answer gets a point. Person with the most points wins, and their prize, as always, is bragging rights. This is public radio, y'all. You want another prize? You're going to have to go on The Price is Right. I'm sorry.
Given our conversation about Congress, I think it's important to establish the rules here of conduct.
Oh, that's true.
Any of your right answers will be stricken from the record, just letting you know.
Alana, okay, for those who don't know, Alana has appeared on this segment before, has played But Did You Know in the past. And She didn't win that time. So
highway robbery.
I know you're coming in with a little chip on the shoulder, but you want to know something? A little chip on the shoulder sometimes will get it over the finish line. So starting off, you may have heard, actually, I don't know what you've been doing if you haven't heard, but former President Donald Trump is on trial in New York for allegedly falsifying business records to influence the 2016 presidential election. Testimony in that trial ended this week, and one of the men present in Trump's entourage was the former leader of which of these bad boy groups? Was it A, the Hells Angels, B, the Colombo crime family, aka one of the 5 families in the New York Mafia, or C, a lead actor from Bad Boys the movie?
B.
I'm saying A.
Carrie says A, the Hells Angels, and the answer is A, the Hells Angels. Alana, girl. I don't mean to.
It's been real nice. Thanks for having me, guys. Retiring officially today.
Oh no. Okay, there's still 2 more. Okay, but yes, the answer is A, the Hells Angels. Trump was accompanied by Chuck Zito, who is famous for helping found the New York chapter of the infamous outlaw motorcycle club, the Hells Angels. Trump himself has long shown admiration for macho bikers, and at a biker rally in 2016, he said, quote, "Do we love the bikers? Yes, we love the bikers." To which I ask both of you, do we love the bikers?
Yes, we love the bikers.
Dykes on bikes, man, it's very butch.
All right, so on to the next question. Speaking of people connected to the former president, during Trump's trial, we've seen and heard a lot of just off-the-wall, wild stuff. But one thing that has felt the wildest was when a list of Trump's close personal contacts was revealed in court. It was like being able to go through someone's phone, which can feel dirty, but also really exhilarating, or so I'm told. Which one of these people did a close aide to Trump say the former president, quote, frequently spoke to? Was it A, LeBron James, B, Serena Williams, or C, Sofia Vergara?
Ooh. I'm going to say C.
Let's go. Let's go B.
And the answer is B, Serena Williams. Alana is back in the game.
Back at it, baby.
It's giving challengers.
Do they have any proof that he was talking to her? You say alleged.
Well, the Trump aide alleged the two had close contact in 2017. And fun fact, Donald Trump and Serena Williams did play tennis against each other at the opening of the Trump National Golf Club in 2015.
Wow, I did not know that.
And yes, Serena reportedly did let him win 1 point.
Okay, that's what I've done here today, Carrie. I also ceded 1 point.
No.
All right, well, to recap our score at this point in the game, Carrie, you're at 1 point. Alana, you're at 1 point. So without further ado, our tiebreaker, final question. While we are on the topic of Trump's close contacts, we can't not talk about the one and only Rudy Giuliani. The self-proclaimed America's mayor this week pled not guilty in a felony election interference case in Arizona. Different case. Different case. At the same time, Giuliani dropped a hot new line of what? What is Giuliani trying to sell with his name now? Is it A, a limited edition Rudy branded watch, B, a skincare line, every celebrity has one, or C, coffee beans?
C.
Yeah,
It's C. I saw the commercial.
Yeah, I would only be able to guess here, so.
The answer is C, coffee beans. Giuliani, who is also Trump's former lawyer, tweeted a video announcing the new coffee line. And at $29.99 a bag, you too can enjoy coffee labeled Fighting for Justice and Enjoying Life.
Oh my God.
Which, I don't drink coffee, but that's exactly, I imagine what I would feel when I had my morning cup of joe.
Wow.
Right?
I feel like that's what Superman's coffee label would be. Fighting for justice and enjoying life.
Does Superman need coffee, though? Does he get sleepy?
I mean, he needs a grift. I don't think the Daily Planet plays all that well.
All right. Well, that is it for But Did You Know?
Congratulations, Alana.
Thank you.
This has been a long time coming.
Justice for me.
Justice for you. Exactly. Oh my gosh. Well, Alana, Carrie, thank you so much for joining me today. It was so wonderful to talk to you both.
Same here. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate the conversation.
That was NPR's Alana Wise and writer Carrie Manders. I'm going to take a quick break, and when I get back, we're getting pilled. Yes, I'm talking about the red pill from The Matrix and why, after 25 years, the metaphor of being pilled is as important for trans people today as it is for men in the alt-right. I'll be right back.
This message comes from NPR sponsor FX, presenting Clipped, the scandalous story of the 2014 Clippers owner's racist remarks captured on tape and heard around the world. The series charts the tape's impact on a dysfunctional basketball organization striving to win against their reputation as the most cursed team in the league. Starring Lawrence Fishburne, Jackie Weaver, Cleopatra Coleman, and Ed O'Neill. FX's Clipped, streaming June 4th, only on Hulu. This message comes from NPR sponsor FX, presenting Clipped, the scandalous story of the 2014 Clippers owner's racist remarks captured on tape and heard around the world. The series charts the tape's impact on a dysfunctional basketball organization striving to win against their reputation as the most cursed team in the league. Starring Lawrence Fishburne, Jackie Weaver, Cleopatra Coleman, and Ed O'Neill. FX's Clipped, streaming June 4th, only on Hulu. This message comes from NPR sponsor Teladoc Health. There are lots of reasons for wanting to be healthy. Family, work, living a fuller life. Teladoc Health understands. Whether you have diabetes, high blood pressure, or just need to manage your weight, Teladoc Health can help. Visit teladochealth.com/whatsyourwhy for more information. That's TELADOC health/whatsyourwhy. This message comes from NPR sponsor REI Co-op. REI has gear, clothing, classes, and advice for camping and glamping, biking and hiking, axing and snacksing, backpacking, and another outdoor thing that rhymes with backpacking. Visit your local REI Co-op or rei.com for the 1,000,001 ways you can opt outside.
My big question this week is, how did the red pill from The Matrix become a symbol for the manosphere and trans identity and anti-capitalism? Every day, I hear people saying they're pilled. They're Bridgerton pilled, or they're Sabrina Carpenter me espresso pilled. And listen, it's been 25 years since the first Matrix film came out, and we're still using that one metaphor to talk about something that's expanded our universe or just broken our brains: the red pill. The Matrix was imagined by sisters Lana and Lily Wachowski. And if you haven't seen it, be warned, I am going to spoil it. But again, it has been 25 years. Basically, Keanu Reeves plays a normal guy working a ho-hum corporate job. He begins to realize something is not right with his world. Then he meets Morpheus, played by Lawrence Fishburne, who gives him the choice to keep living in his comfortable world or find out the truth about the Matrix.
Unfortunately, no one can be told what the Matrix is. You have to see it for yourself. You take the blue pill, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Of course, he wants to know about the Matrix, so he takes the red pill, wakes up in a womb-like vat of goo, and finds out intelligent machines have been using his body for power. The world he thought he lived in was just a simulation. He realizes he's Neo, a chosen one with the power to fight back. Now, the metaphor of the red pill that opens your mind to what's really happening, it resonated with a lot of people, from trans people to anti-capitalists to right-wing manosphere acolytes. But what about this one metaphor speaks to all these very different people? To find out, I sat down with writer John Wilmus, who wrote an article about the red pill in The Ringer. and writer and cultural critic Emily St. James. We get into the long life of the red pill and how our culture got matrix pilled. Emily, John, welcome to It's Been a Minute.
Thanks.
It's good to be here.
Do you remember what you thought of The Matrix when you first saw it? Emily, you first.
Yeah, I remember just like being immensely blown away by it and taken with it. But like the only scene that really registered with me was the scene where they take the bug and put it in Keanu Reeves' belly button. That was stuck, it lodged in my brain. And then I watched it a billion times on DVD.
That is great imagery there. So thank you for bringing that back. John, what about you?
I definitely watched it, I think, on VHS at a friend's house with more lax parents, I guess. You know, I was just a 12-year-old boy. I just thought it was very cool. I've never seen action like this in a movie before.
I also was about maybe 12 when the movie came out as well, 11 or 12. I thought it was going to be kind of corny. I don't know, just all the leather jackets and stuff. I was like, are we sure? And then I saw it and I was like, I think we all actually need floor-length leather jackets. But we're here to talk about one scene in particular. The one where Morpheus offers Neo the blue pill or the red pill. I want to talk about how we see this moment in our slang to be quote unquote pilled by something. Definitely comes from this. What does being pilled mean? What does it mean to be pilled?
I think that the word has become a sort of an all-purpose suffix in many ways. We needed a suffix that kind of said, I'm getting really excited about something. It has lived in that way, in the same way that like gate now means a scandal. Pilled is like that. A couple years ago, I got really into soccer and I started saying I was soccer pilled. It's just like a thing that opens your mind to something new. And we can use it in sort of playful contexts. You know, you might say you're Rodrigo pilled if you're getting really into Olivia Rodrigo.
Oh, I'm Rodrigo pilled. Yeah.
I think it's a useful word. I do think that for a lot of people, there is that more political context of like, if you're red pilled, often you're very right wing, or black pilled, other colors of pills are happening. And it's sort of ironic given the film's provenance from two trans women.
Yeah, I would say that the great irony of the legacy of the movie is that when Neo takes the pill, it releases him from the goo, right? But when we're getting pilled online, we're going deeper into it. Usually we're finding ourselves enmeshed in ideas that really exist more online than in the real world in a lot of cases, and just getting lost in the sauce, basically.
As you mentioned, Emily, it's become clear in the years since The Matrix first came out, the first Matrix film, that the directors were expressing some gender feelings. And the Wachowskis have both since come out as trans, and Lily Wachowski confirmed that she thinks of it as a trans metaphor. Like The Matrix is the gender binary, and taking the red pill is realizing that you're trans. Emily, how do you see that mapping onto the film?
The Matrix as a trans film, as a trans text, people have come around on that idea in recent years, especially since Lily Wachowski came out. But I, as a trans person, sort of hesitate to make The Matrix too clean a trans metaphor. I think that that element is in there, but I also think it sort of comes out of this tradition of art made by trans people before either they come out to themselves or they come out to the world, that is often grappling with understanding that something in society is wrong. And some of it's in your own head and some of it's out there. I tend to think of this as more of an anti-capitalist film than an anti-gender film.
Wait, can you say more about that?
Yeah, I think that one of the reasons that it has had such a long legacy is that it does seem to be anticipating a lot of the conversations we're having around the flaws of our economic model. When you're looking at the system and saying that it's messed up, it's all pervasive and it permeates everything, the closest thing we have to describing that in our modern world is capitalism. But it certainly it can be read through the gender lens, and obviously has been. I just think that that ultimately ends up limiting what's a very complex, interesting movie. There's a lot going on in this film, and I think that it's worth engaging with all of it. But yes, some of it is very gender.
John, you wrote in an article about the legacy of the red pill that this metaphor is extremely vague, which I think kind of goes to Emily's point about how there are many different readings that you can extract from the Matrix. That red pill can stand in for anything. Talk to me about how the red pill started proliferating in the culture among right-wing men.
I mean, I guess the red pill becoming this far-right, misogynist symbol that probably started sometime in the later 2000s. There's this sort of think tanky political scientist type guy named Curtis Yarvin, who in more recent years has appeared on like Tucker Carlson and stuff like that. He starts reappropriating the red pill symbol, saying that, you know, Noam Chomsky, of all people, is selling blue pills, and here I have the red pills. Now, this guy's super wonky, so it really takes on more of this cultural friction when it starts to just be like very base, crude misogyny, right? And it becomes this symbol for the collection of internet subcultures that are referred to as the manosphere. And by now, the only person I see saying it a lot is Andrew Tate.
Right. Andrew Tate is one of the main people in that right-wing manosphere field, and notably indicted on charges of human trafficking in Romania. Talk to me about his relationship to the Matrix specifically.
Yeah, he still is talking about it a lot. He's basically using the Matrix to represent what he would call cancel culture, kind of suggesting that the Matrix is in fact liberal acceptance, which to him is hegemonic and overbearing. And that's the thing that we need to break free from.
A PSYOP is the Matrix as a whole. They constantly decide how they want you to think and what they can do to make you believe that. But it starts with tolerance. You have to be tolerant. Tolerant of what? Tolerant of having your shop set on fire, tolerant of your kids being taught things you don't want, tolerant of crime, tolerant of your house.
As you noted, John, it started really gaining steam when it began standing in for misogyny. For a long time, there was a Reddit page called r/redpill, and it was a meeting place for people who use the red pill metaphor to say, you know, taking the red pill means realizing feminism is overbearing and what's wrong with the world. And I think it's interesting that the Matrix kind of smacked of gender to them too. They saw women as being the overlords keeping men in the goo. Emily, I'm wondering, how did it get reimagined in that way?
Well, I think one of the things that we're sort of circling is the process of coming out as trans makes you sort of realize that the gender binary as it's constructed is entirely made up by humans. And I think when trans people come out, you go down this line and you're like, well, what else is made up? Money is functionally an imaginary concept that we have attached meaning to through like specific physical objects, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And like the further you get down that rabbit hole, the more you're like, well, everything is just imaginary. But the alternate side of that is that when you have something that vague, you can be like, oh, what else is imaginary? It's the idea that men and women have equal intellectual capacity or something. If you decide that that idea is imaginary, then like you end up tracing that down other very different path. And the Matrix is just like, we all understand that the world is just a little bit weird and just like a little bit off, and it just doesn't quite make sense. And if you could just open your eyes, you'd see all of that. It's just a starting point for, well, I think this is something people are lying to me about. And you can kind of go in either political direction from that. I don't really buy political horseshoe theory, but maybe I do in the case of the Matrix.
It's interesting. I mean, with this whole women being the overlords thing, like that's not really how it works in the real world. You know, like there are a lot of stats out there about how women are more likely to face violence at the hands of men than vice versa. And men still hold the most positions of power in our government. So how is it easier to believe in the idea that women are oppressing men is the actual red pill truth than to see some of these very real life gender dynamics?
I think like one of the things that the Matrix really gets right is that truth is individualized as much as it is systematized. Let's say I'm a young man who girls won't talk to. That is true. And you can tell me, you know, all the stats on how women still suffer various structural inequalities, etc. But for me, what's true is I can't get a girl to talk to me. I can't get a girl to go out with me. And like that becomes the truth. And your personal truth always overrides the actual like structural truth. And to build a society, we all need to sort of put our truths together and accept that like a lot of different things can be true at the same time. Girls might not want to talk to you, and they also might face terrible structural inequality. And it's very hard to build a common story, a common sense of a truth that can encompass as many people as possible in the age when we can go sort of to a space where we have our truths reflected back at us 24/7.
It's funny because during the red pill moment, or right after it anyway, when Morpheus is breaking down the way things really are for Neo, there is a small section of that where they go
to the desert of the real.
And it's just this perpetual storm zone where we don't know what is what. And it sort of presages this, what a lot of people have called the epistemological crisis of modern day, no shared truth, because there's too many versions of the truth.
Oh gosh, epistemological crisis. I mean, it's a very apt description. But another thing I've been wondering about is that I feel like the most enticing fantasies are often for something really wonderful to happen, where you're like, oh, I did buy the winning lottery ticket. Or like in Princess Diaries, like, you know, you wake up and you're like a princess, and then your grandma is Julie Andrews. Everyone knows why you want something wonderful to happen, but the truth that you see and experience in The Matrix is crushing. The truth that's in The Matrix that people seem to want is a harsh truth and a scary truth. I wonder, what do you think makes people fantasize about being exposed to harsh truth when it seems like in real life, the very human instinct is to run from that?
I think that we have a sort of limited understanding of escapism. We have this thought that like escapism is we're going to go into a happy space. But horror stories have been popular for a long time for a reason. There is a part of our brain that wants to acknowledge the darker side of everything, that wants to be like, no, actually the things that are coming after you really are that bad and you need to get away from them. Your fear is justified. I think The Matrix actually travels in two directions in this regard. First, there's just the pure chosen one escapist fantasy of if once I learn how the world works, I can make bullets stop with my hands. I can bend backwards. I can do all kinds of cool stuff with the help of CGI effects professionals. But there's also sort of the flip side of that, which is this movie selling you the escapist fantasy of acknowledging that everything really does suck. That is a thing that storytelling too rarely does. And I think it is to this film's credit that it sort of goes there. So I think that The Matrix succeeds in giving us escapism because it feeds both sides of our escapist brain, the dark and the light.
Well, before we go, I have one last question I want to ask each of you, which is, what are you pilled by?
All right. I'm tennis pilled. I'm currently pilled by the film Challengers.
Tennis pilled. Okay. What about you, John? What are you currently pilled by?
Challengers pilled, tennis pilled. It's time to play tennis again. It's getting nice out, so that's great. Willa Cather pilled. Been reading a lot of Willa Cather.
Do you think the phrase Willa Cather pilled has ever been uttered before right now?
I really hope so.
John, Emily, thank you both so much for joining me. This was really so much fun.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks again to Emily St. James and John Wilmus. You can read more of their thoughts on The Matrix in Vox and The Ringer. This episode of It's Been a Minute was produced by
Barton Girdwood,
Alexis Williams,
Liam McBain,
Corey Antonio Rose.
This episode was edited by
Jessica Placzek,
Sarah Saracen.
Engineering support came from
Tiffany Vera Castro.
We had fact-checking help from
Barclay Walsh.
Our executive producer is
Verilyn Williams.
Our VP of programming is
Yolanda Sanguini.
All right, that's all for this episode of It's Been a Minute from NPR. I'm Brittany Luce. Talk soon.
This message comes from NPR sponsor Acorn TV. Acorn TV is brilliant television told brilliantly, from charmingly cozy mysteries to daringly dark dramas. Visit acorn.tv for a 30-day free trial with promo code NPR. Acorn TV. Brilliant. Support for NPR and the following message come from IXL Learning. IXL Learning uses advanced algorithms to give the right help to each kid no matter the age or personality. Get an exclusive 20% off IXL membership when you sign up today at IXL.com/NPR.
All that sitting and swiping, your body is adapting to your technology. Learn how and what you can do about it.
I really felt like the cloud in my brain kind of dissipated. Once I started realizing what a difference these little breaks were making, there's no turning back for me.
Take NPR's Body Electric Challenge. Listen to the series wherever you get your podcasts.